Hey there. What are you doing? I'm gonna start compression. You gonna call 911?
Yep.
Welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing another scenario, and this scenario is a CPR scenario. So we have an unresponsive patient and we have a bystander that initiates CPR. So before we get too much into this, let's go ahead and take a look.
Hey there. What are you doing? Hey. I don't think I'm feeling a pulse on this guy.
Was he breathing?
No, I don't think so. No? Can you help me get him out of the chair?
Yeah. Just get him on the hard ground.
I'm gonna start compressions. You gonna call 911?
Yep.
Get AED. 2, 3, 4, 6.
Alright. Okay, ambulance is on its way. I'll get the AD put on him.
Alright.
Adult chat. Unit okay.
25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30.
Alright, start compressions.
Alright.
All right, so this is a very basic adult CPR scenario. Someone is unresponsive, and the first thing that we notice is we have the recognition. Someone recognizes this person does not look good. And it's not just because they are an old, worn-out training mannequin. This person does not look good because they do not have a heartbeat. So if you notice someone that is unresponsive, we want to check to see if there's any breathing or any movement of the person. Someone that does not have a heartbeat that is in need of CPR typically will also start to look pale. Their skin might be cool to the touch because they don't have that blood circulation that people with a heartbeat will have. So as soon as someone goes into cardiac arrest or their heart stops pumping, we start to get cool, pale extremities, and you'll start to notice these patients look either cyanotic, which is blue, or gray because they don't have that circulation. So these people typically look very sick once their heart stops pumping. So in this scenario, we had a bystander that noticed this person did not look good. They were unresponsive, slumped over in a chair. So the first thing they did is they wanted to try to wake them up if they were sleeping, wanted to try to get some form of a response from them. So they tapped him on the shoulder, said, "Hey, are you okay?"
Hey there.
Got no response. Now, this particular responder has been trained in BLS, basic life support. So they're trained to check a pulse. If you are not trained to check a pulse and you're not really sure where or how to check a pulse, you can just skip the pulse check. If they are not responding and don't seem to be breathing, you can go straight into CPR until you see some other form of life. So if they start breathing on their own or they wake up and say, "Hey, stop pushing on my chest," that lets you know that you can now stop CPR. But as long as they are not responding and not breathing, you don't even have to do a pulse check. You can go right into CPR and you can start life-saving measures that way. So in this scenario, we did a pulse check. They weren't really sure if they felt a pulse. Again, no response, no breathing. Immediately, we need to get them on a flat surface and begin CPR. So a second person came in to help move the person from the chair down to a flat, hard surface. Now, the surface we move them to needs to be hard. When we press down on the chest, we want to be able to push against a hard object. If the person is unresponsive and laying in a bed, yes, they're flat, but when you press down, they're going to push down into the mattress and you're not actually going to get a good chest compression with that chest recoil. So we want to make sure they're on a hard surface. So if they're in a chair or on a bed or somewhere like that, we want to move them down, lay them flat, and we want it in the middle of an area where now we can work around them to be able to do CPR. So take a few seconds, put them on a flat, hard surface so you can perform proper CPR. If this video has been helpful, leave us a like on the video. We'd really appreciate it. And hit the subscribe button and make sure your notifications are on so you're alerted of any future videos. If you have any questions or would just like to say hi, leave us a comment down below. We'd love to hear from you. Before too much time elapses, we want to make sure that we've contacted 911 so we can give them as early of a head start on getting an ambulance coming our direction as possible. If you're by yourself, you can simply use Siri or Alexa or dial 911 on your phone real fast, and then you can use your speakerphone while you're doing chest compressions to talk to a dispatcher and tell them where you are so they can get an ambulance headed your way. If you have a second person or several people standing around you, designate one person and say, "You call 911." If you just shout out call 911, several people may call 911, and now they have a bunch of phone calls to have to field at the dispatch center, or everyone may think someone else is doing it, so then no one ends up doing it. So be specific, designate one person, and say, "You call 911." The next thing we want to think about is if there is an AED close, we want to get that over. When someone goes into cardiac arrest, we do compressions to keep the circulation going to buy them time, but ultimately it's the electricity from an AED when we deliver a shock that will actually help to restart that heart and put it back into a normal rhythm. So as soon as possible, we want to get that AED, and the first step of an AED is turning it on, because then it will walk you through all of the prompts step by step so that you can apply the pads and properly defibrillate a patient if they happen to be in a rhythm that the AED will recognize and shock. While you're waiting on an AED arrival, go ahead and begin compressions. If you are trained in giving breaths with a pocket mask or a barrier device or a BVM, you can do the breaths. What we do is we do 30 compressions and 2 breaths. If you're not trained in that, simply do compressions. Just do nonstop compressions until the AED gets there and says to stop compressions to analyze or to shock. Otherwise, you just keep doing compressions until the ambulance arrives. These compressions will keep the circulation going to buy the patient time until they do get defibrillated or until the ambulance gets there to be able to provide further treatment as well. This is a very cut and dry CPR call. These can be a little bit intimidating if it's your first one you're responding to, but there's nothing really to shy away from. If they're unresponsive and not breathing, get them on a hard surface, start CPR. Do just compressions if you're not trained in breathing or anything else. Have someone call 911 and grab the AED, turn the AED on, and follow the prompts. It will walk you through doing compressions, applying the pads. There's pictures on the pads so you know where to put the pads, and it will walk you through every step and let you know what to do and when to do it. Hopefully this video has helped you to be able to take some of these skills you may have known about and apply it in a real-world setting so you can see it as it plays out in a scenario. If you have any further questions about this scenario or have an idea for a scenario you would like to see in the future, leave us a comment down below. As always, stay vigilant and stay safe.